class. Today I will talk about the dangers of cocaine. As 11th graders, you need to begin to understand just how dangerous cocaine is because people around your age are tempted to experiment with drugs, including cocaine. You may not realize how dangerous this drug actually is, but millions have died to this drug, including legends like Whitney Houston and River Phoenix. By the end of this lesson, you need to understand what cocaine actually is and why it's so dangerous, how cocaine affects the brain once it's ingested, short-term and long-term effects of the drug. Short-term effects include euphoria feeling, and long-term effects include cardiovascular disease and how deadly it actually is. How to avoid peer pressure in the treatment of the drug, and how to beat the addiction. What is cocaine? Cocaine is a stimulant drug. It stimulates the brain and the central nervous system. It increases alertness, evaluates mood, it increases motor activity, and it also increases blood pressure and heart rate. Cocaine is derived from the leaves of the coca plant and is mainly found in South America. In South America, they are found in Colombia, Bolivia, and Peru. They shipped off from those countries all around the world, including the United States. Ancient Incas chewed on the coca plant because of its stimulant effects. And over the years, cocaine is used by Charles Dickens, Arthur Conan Doyle, and Sigmund Freud, and cocaine may have influenced their works. Eventually, cocaine came to the United States. It was known as the wonder drug. It was used as an anesthetic and was part of the original formula in the Coca-Cola. People were getting high without even knowing that they were. The major problem is that cocaine is highly addictive and self-destructive. In 1914, Congress passed a law saying that the manufacture, distribution, and sale was all illegal, and that cocaine couldn't be used anymore. In the 20th century, at first, for the first 60 years, cocaine was not very popular. It only started getting popular in the 1960s and 1970s, when they began to experiment with drugs, and cocaine became popular because of the stimulant effects that it had. And then the most popular is that it was very popular in the 1980s and 1990s. It was a very expensive drug, and most people that used the cocaine was wealthy people. Next, we're going to talk about crack cocaine, or just crack. Crack is derived from cocaine, and it's a cheaper alternative, but it's just as dangerous. Very people in low-income communities mainly use it because they don't have enough money for cocaine. Cocaine problem became a crack problem with millions of people using it. Why is cocaine so dangerous? Well, there's two main reasons why cocaine is so dangerous. It's because of the stimulant drug, and it creates a user to have increased blood pressure, increased heart rate, and lots of stress in cardiovascular system. It's also extremely addictive. Addicts will do whatever it takes to get it. Like, I need more of it, I need a lot of it. Okay, now we're going to talk, now I'm going to give pop quiz. So make sure to text your answers to 973-771-8858. That is 973-771-8858. Okay, question number 1 is, in which free South American countries does the coca plant grow? In which free South American countries does the coca plant grow? Number 2 is, what category drug is cocaine? What category drug is cocaine? Number 3 is, what are 2 of the reasons why cocaine is so dangerous? What are 2 of the reasons why cocaine is so dangerous? Number 4 is, how is cocaine ingested? Cocaine ingested by either snorting it through the nose or injecting it through your skin. Effects begin when the cocaine enters the bloodstream. So we know that cocaine is very expensive and very addictive. So why would anyone take the drug? It's because cocaine can make you very energetic, very creative, and very powerful. You may feel euphoria in the short-term effects of taking cocaine. Even though that you feel energetic and powerful and like you can take on anything, it doesn't really last that long. It only lasts 15 to 30 minutes. Then after you feel like invincible, you can take on the world, you feel powerful. You feel numb, guilt, and depression. But at that point, you may already be hooked. The only thought is like, I need more of it. Where can I get more of it? You kind of lose control. The long-term consequences of cocaine is that you may lose your job or ruin your career. You may lose some relationships, like your family, boyfriend, girlfriend, your friends, your spouse. You may be becoming malnourished, and you're basically going to drop out of society. This is pop quiz number 2. Number 1. What are 2 main ways that cocaine can be ingested? What are 2 main ways cocaine can be ingested? Number 2. What are some of the long-term consequences of becoming addicted to cocaine? What are some of the long-term consequences of becoming addicted to cocaine? So let's check out a 2-minute video explaining how the brain responds to cocaine. So here's a 2.5-minute video called The Reward Circuit, How the Brain Responds to Cocaine.
Deep within the brain is a set of structures called the limbic system. The limbic system contains the brain's reward circuit, or pathway. The reward circuit links together a number of brain structures that control and regulate our ability to feel pleasure. Feeling pleasure motivates us to repeat behaviors. When the reward circuit is activated, each individual cell on the circuit relays electrical and chemical signals. The small gap between the sending and receiving cells is called the synapse. In the reward circuit, dopamine neurons release the neurotransmitter dopamine. The released dopamine molecules travel across the synapse and link up with proteins called dopamine receptors on the surface of the receiving cell. When dopamine binds to the exterior of the dopamine receptor, this causes proteins attached to the interior part of the receptors to carry the signal onward within the cell. Some dopamine molecules re-enter the sending cell via dopamine transporters and can be re-released. When a reward is encountered, the presynaptic cell releases a larger amount of dopamine in a sudden burst. Dopamine transporters will then quickly remove the excess. Dopamine surges in response to natural rewards help the brain learn and adapt to a complex world. However, drugs are able to hijack this process, contributing to unhealthy behaviors and consequences. When someone first uses cocaine, the drug quickly enters the brain. where it blocks the transporters on the presynaptic cell. Since dopamine cannot re-enter the presynaptic cell, it begins to accumulate in the synapse, where it can reach abnormally high levels and remain there much longer than usual. The postsynaptic cell becomes hyperactivated, which produces a feeling of euphoria. This creates an incredibly powerful association between cocaine and pleasure, making a person want to repeat the experience of taking the drug.
Okay, so that video explains how cocaine affects receptors in the brain, which also causes intense pleasure. It artificially creates feelings of pleasure, euphoria, and power. Only for a short period of time though, like I said before, like 15-30 minutes. Studies shown that the orbitofrontal cortex of the brain is the area that controls decision making and self-awareness. Orbitofrontal cortex of the brain controls decision making and self-awareness. That's kind of bad because when you use cocaine, it affects the decision making and you usually make bad decisions from the cocaine. Let's talk about how the abuse of cocaine can physically damage the brain. Cocaine causes our veins and arteries to become constricted and the blood flow to and from the brain. It can also cause blood clots and it leads to stroke, which is really bad. This will cause seizures that are associated with heavy cocaine use, and you do not want to have seizures. Now, our cardiovascular system and brain are directly tied together, so when you damage one system, you damage the other. Also, cocaine causes the brain to age prematurely. In normal, the brain naturally loses gray matter every year. What is gray matter? Gray matter is neural tissue in our brain and spinal cord and central nervous system. The greater the gray matter, the better the brain works. The University of Cambridge study shows the loss of gray matter. They did a study of the loss of gray matter. Healthy people versus cocaine addicted people. They measured a yearly loss of gray matter. There was 1.69 milliliters per year of gray matter loss in normal people and healthy people, and then 3.08 milliliters per year loss of gray matter in cocaine addicted people. Ever any doubt about the loss, just go back to that study. Another serious problem is pregnant women who are addicted to cocaine and crack. More common than you might think, there are pregnant women that take cocaine. There are terrible consequences for both the mother and the baby that they are having. Studies have shown that women experience a lot of weird things when they take cocaine. They might get maternal migraines, high blood pressure, spontaneous miscarriages, preterm labor, and difficulty in delivering the baby. Even more disturbing is that babies also have problems when they're born with mothers who take cocaine. They have problems like premature birth, lower birth weights, underdeveloped brains, and higher mortality rates. It's so scary to think that babies that are born into mothers that have cocaine, it's just scary to think that babies might not live long just because of the mothers taking cocaine and the baby doesn't have any control over it. Okay, time for the last pop quiz of this lesson. Number 1. How much gray matter does the average person lose per year? And how much gray matter does the cocaine user brain lose per year? How much gray matter does an average person's brain lose per year? And how much of a gray matter does a cocaine user's brain lose per year? Number 2. Name 3 effects that a pregnant woman may experience from using cocaine during her pregnancy. Name 3 effects a pregnant woman may experience from using cocaine during her pregnancy. Now it's time for an activity. So I have a scenario planned out. So pretend you just graduated high school, and you're at like a graduation party. Yeah, you're having fun. Yeah, you're hanging out with friends. Then your best friend comes up to you with 2 other girls. It's like, hey, my brother just scored us some cocaine. Let's have a few lines. You know, it'll make us feel better. My brother did it before. It's so like he made me try before. We felt a lot better. We felt a lot more energetic. You know, don't be a sissy. Go take it with us. You know, we'll be powerful, invincible, unbreakable. So you have 3 options to do. You can either say, yeah, sure, I'll do that. It's only for one night. It won't cause any harm to me. Number 2 is like, you know what? I'm feeling really tired. I'm gonna go back home. You know, I don't really want to do that. Number 3 is like, no, I'm definitely not going to do that. You guys shouldn't do that either because it will harm you. No matter if you do it one night or every night. So you should either give in to the peer pressure, which is what a lot of people do as a mistake. Either avoid it completely, which is better than giving the peer pressure, but still not the best thing to do. And the third thing is to stand up for yourself and other people. That's probably the best thing you can do to stop cocaine spreadage. Now, here's my story that I found. Now, there was this baseball player who came up in 1984 for the Mets, and his name was Dwight Gooden, nicknamed Doc Gooden. He was rookie of the year. He was rookie of the year in 1984. He was a Cy Young Award winner in 1985. In 1986, he kind of took cocaine and he got addicted to it. But he was pitching for the Mets and he won the World Series in 1986 against the Red Sox. After they won the 7th game, Dwight had become addicted to cocaine by then. So he made 2 phone calls that night. He called his mom and his dad first. So yeah, he won the game. And then the next phone call, he called his drug dealer, unfortunately. He got the cocaine, and he went to some stranger's apartment with 10 other people. And they spent the whole night taking cocaine. No one knew where he was because cell phones weren't invented yet. He woke up the next day at some stranger's home, and the TV was on, and he saw all his teammates, all his coaches, all his managers, all at the parade, and he was the only one that wasn't there. And there were some news things after that where Doc Gooden was on there and he was like talking about how much he regretted it. It was like it was the best day. It was supposed to be the best day of his life, but it was the worst day of his life. You know, he totally regrets it, and he said that if he could go back, he would change everything. He wouldn't get addicted. He wouldn't go there that night. He just regrets it a lot. Eventually, he did get treatment, but to this day, he blames himself for being addicted in the first place. Final thing I'm going to talk about is the treatment for cocaine abuse. If I'm suffering with a cocaine addiction or my friend is suffering with a cocaine addiction. Discussing treatment is a big topic beyond the scope of this lesson plan, but here are a few takeaways. The most important thing is to admit to your addiction. If you don't admit to it, then there's nothing you can do. Let's assume that your friend has an addiction. So the first thing you should try to do, if to get some help from him, is to confront him by yourself to make him admit that he has a cocaine addiction. If that doesn't work, try doing it with a few others of your friends. If that doesn't work, then talk to his or her parents. The main thing to do is to make them admit to it, so he can get some help. Once a person admits to their problem, clinical treatment is critical to be addiction. You can't do it by yourself. Lots of info about treatment or being addiction is found on the NIDA website. This concludes the lesson plan. Just remember the 5 things that we talked about. What cocaine actually is, why it's so dangerous, how cocaine affects the brain once it's ingested, short-term and long-term effects of cocaine, peer pressure and how to deal with it, and treatment. Even though we couldn't talk much about it because it's a much bigger topic, we did talk about the takeaways. The most important thing is to admit to it.